acting municipal manager and her team. We have the Director of Community Services present and the manager in the Deputy Mayor's office and the performance manager. Can I get an indication who is on Skype? I don't have my Skype on. I suppose I have to put that on.
Councillor Ian Van Vogel, speaker, I'm on Skype.
Thank you, Councillor Van Vogel. Just give me 1 second just to connect up with you. Okay. I got lazy from the last council meeting when you were all here. I just need to get the agenda. It's not the one. I need to get to the notice. Can I just ask the administration, whenever you send out anything that's to do with the council agenda, even its addendums or minutes, just put the link on there as well. Then we don't have to go rush back to the beginning of the month through all the emails to find the Zoom link. Which I'm battling to find now. Because the link only came with the notice of the meeting. Okay, committee. Here we go. No, that's in committee. Can somebody send me the link, please? I only see mayoral committee invites, not council invites. Oh, here we go. This one was sent on the 10th of Feb. It's a long way ago. There we go. Got it. Not responding. Hey, why is my computer so slow this morning? Now I can see who's present and who's not present. Thank you. The executive mayor is still not present. Does anybody know where the executive mayor is or might be? Oh, is he virtually? All right, let me go through that list. I have all councillors present in the chambers, apart from Councillor Windvogel, who joined us virtually. I don't see Councillor Nell either. I know he has got eyesight problems. That's probably why he's not present. And I did speak to him a few days ago to find out how he's doing. And maybe we forgot to ask if he was going to attend the meeting or not. He's not, okay. Yes, I know he's got, he can't see or read anything. So we will tender his apology from this meeting and record it as such. There's the executive mayor entering. Then I have Mr. Roeder, that's Acting Director, Technical Services, outside the meeting. I've got Mr. Gierke present here in the meeting. That's the only senior officials that I see. And the rest are all support staff and managers in offices of the political office bearers. Yeah, that's my opening. The attendance register is circulating. Councillors must please indicate their presence on the attendance register. Application for leave of absence. We've just been informed that Councillor Nell is still medically unfit to attend council meetings, and his apologies will be recorded as such. Item number 4 on our agenda is the declaration of interest. Is there any councillor that would like to declare any interest on anything that we deal with today on this council agenda? None? Thank you very much. It will be recorded as such. Item number 5 is the confirmation of minutes in open council. If we can go through the minutes. We will start with page number 1 of the minutes of the council meeting that took place on the 29th of January 2021, a meeting that started at 9:05. I am dealing currently with corrections and then confirmation, the approval. Page 1, page 2, page number 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, and page 8. Is that a true reflection, councillors? Can I get the proposal for adoption? Thank you, Deputy Executive Mayor. There's a proposal for adoption. Is there a seconder? Councillor Machila, thank you very much. And then the rest of the pages is attendance registers. Thank you. That minutes is then approved. If we now can go to item number 6 on our agenda, statements and communications by the Executive Mayor. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. The floor is yours.
Speaker, there is nothing much to say, except just to highlight on the adjustment budget that maybe when council consider it, it must consider it in line with projects that have been identified there, especially on the ward level, in line with COVID-19 as well. There are some changes, and it's going to be tough to spend some of the finances that the council originally budgeted for this project. But I think the adjustment budget is well adjusted for council. The other thing that I just want to highlight, and maybe to thank councillors and officials, especially Councillor Swart as well, the COVID-19 state is actually normalizing. We are doing well, and we've done well as a town. And the other thing that I requested was the seasonal plan, a report on the seasonal plan. And I think it's important that council look at that seasonal report. There might have been a lot of things that have happened that we might have to look at. The other issue that we need to is the future of this fencing, because I believe the fencing of the public areas was in line with COVID-19 regulations to minimize the influx of people. But it's ugly, if I might put it that way, for a town like ours. It does not give that kind of a vibe where people can move freely and enjoy the nature freely. So I think council must just pronounce itself on the fencing of these public areas. Look at the quality of the fencing in some of these. It's not even nice. So it's something that I think, Speaker, is important for council to consider. But also, I just want to say the challenge with the project of Kolweni was the removal of people. Our officials did not manage the implementation of that project very well. And there might be implications, financial implications, there might be delays, or maybe many other things in that project. And it's quite concerning. But the work is happening. The community of that area is also assisting. There was a question from the leaders of that area. The question was, who has caused this problem? All of this problem in Kolweni. To answer that question, Speaker, it's multifaceted. The community is also demanding so much. The contractor had challenges of its own as well, whilst at the same time our officials did not plan well, because that project started during the festive season in December, whilst other people were on holiday, and there was no proper planning for that. But maybe councillors, maybe they hear that there is these things happening in Kolweni and all of that. And some of them, they wrote letters to all councillors, provincial government and all of that. But also, I think there is a letter that we received from the Parliament. I think there's a committee that is coming next week to look at the issue of human settlement here, including the material that is lying at the airport. We will be expected to present as council on that material as to why it's lying there. For sure, I know councillors pronounced themselves on that long ago, and I wouldn't waste time, but I just want to highlight that to councillors. But also, I just want to say to councillors, we're delighted that we have seen something happening in Ebenezer. Councillor N, as what the housing project is starting there. They are starting to clear the land for infrastructure development. So those are the issues, Speaker, that I think it's important for me to raise without wasting much of your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. I think you have covered the broad spectrum. We just hope that as far as COVID-19 is concerned, that we will have a lower, the President will lower the lockdown regulations soon, so that we can start working normally again and implement, spend the budget like it should be spent.
Sorry, Speaker.
Yes,
Just a clarity-seeking question, Speaker. I'm not meant to respond to the mayor's statement. The mayor raised a very pertinent call that we as council must pronounce ourselves with regard to the fence at the beaches. But there is no item of such nature. Does the mayor perhaps request that officials bring an item for that particular purpose, so that we know, otherwise it's going to be left
yes.
in his statement without being actioned.
Yeah.
That's just what the clarity. Thanks.
I presume that's what the mayor will do. He will request a report. It's not council that decided that there must be a fence up. It's the administration. They need to deal with it, obviously in consultation with the mayor. And yes, I think we all agree with the mayor that fencing doesn't look good at all. And we only need that fencing there basically in December when we've got crowd control issues. Other than that, it's not, this town is not the right place to put up fences like that. It's agreed. Mr. Mayor, I'm sure you will do something about it. Thank you very much. If we can then move to item number 7 on our agenda. I was informed of no presentations that will be presented today. Then we can move over to item 8, items for information, which have been dealt with by the Executive Mayor in terms of his delegated authority. The items is on the agenda. Can I get a proposer and a seconder for that? Councillor Mbali proposed. Is there a seconder? Councillor Sayisi seconded. Item number 9 on our agenda is reports that Council needs to consider on matters not delegated to the Executive Mayor. And we have a portfolio of index. If I can go to that. We'll deal with all the different sections. We will start with the section 1, the Office of the Municipal Manager. And the first item that we will be dealing with there is item C/198/02/21. And the item heading is information regarding the appointment of audit and performance audit committee members. And you will find the item on pages 24 to 26. Item is serving. Councillor Mbali.
Mr. Speaker, go to recommendation by the Executive Mayor.
There's a proposal that we go with the recommendations by the Executive Mayor. Councillor Mbali, is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Machila. Item carried. The next item is item C/1/200/02/21. And the item heading is Schedule of Meetings for the Municipal Public Accounts Committee. And you will find the report on page 27 to page 29. Item is serving. Any input?
I thought the councillor was going to talk.
Councillor Bali.
Sorry, Speaker. I don't know what's happening there this morning. Go to the recommendations there quickly.
Recommendations.
Which one are we in now? Sorry. I thought I was dealing with SDB. Sorry.
No, you're not an SDB.
It's just a schedule of meetings.
Okay, Councillor Bali, can we talk on item?
We'll go with the recommendation.
Thank you very much. Is there a seconder to that proposal? Thank you very much, Councillor Van Reijnen. Our next item is item C/2/214/02/21 under section 2, finance. And the item heading is report on the implementation of the supply chain management policy for the second quarter, starting 1st of October until 31st of December 2020. And you will find the report on page 31 to page 77. Item is serving. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. Just two items on this that concern me. On page 45, I see the demolition of Earth 156. All the processes seem to have been completed, and this now has been going on for 3 years. When Mr. Ndlovu was the new municipal manager in October 2018, he advised the public meeting in Pisangwali that there was a demolition order and it would be demolished. It's been in the budget 2 years after that for an amount of 4 million. It's in the budget again now, 2.5 million. We have a lot of problems with that property, with vagrants living in it, causing problems for the neighbors, causing problems for the security people in town as well. And nothing just seems to get done about this. And we need to really get this demolition order then enacted. And then the other item is on page 72. The mayor's just mentioned the emergency housing that is now, at least at last, something starting to happen. But what's concerning is we've got 24 payments of 6,900 Rand to the company that provided that housing. Now, they were paid 3.9 million for that, and now we're still paying them another 165,000 Rand for storage, which is a definite waste of money, because we're now also going to be paying to erect those units, which was essentially paid for in the regional contract price. So I just wanted to raise concerns about that.
Okay. You councillors will have noticed that Mr. Girika, the Director, Strategic Services, recused himself because he was involved in his private capacity when he was not with the municipality, with the Earth 156. Is it Earth 156 application? That's why he recused himself. Maybe I can ask the mayor to give us a feedback on the status of that of that earth. And the second, your second question, I think we can deal with when we next week when we have that visit from when all the officials will be there from national, provincial, and our local officials. Executive Mayor.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I'm not sure whether at the moment I'm at liberty to report fully on the matter, because the matter is still under consideration as an appeals authority. But the matter came to my desk, I think, last year. I subsequently appointed contractors to advise me. It never went to tribunal. In fact, the application did not go through the necessary stages before it came to my desk. So when I looked at it and then all the reports, I referred it back to the tribunal.
Just 1 second, Mr. Mayor. I think the manager and the deputy mayor's office thought that I told him to go out. I want him to open the door. Councillor Bachir, can you just? There is coming in here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I thought you were running away because I said you must go. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
So before it came into my desk, it never went through the right channels. So I referred it back to the tribunal. Yesterday, I got a report which I received from the tribunal. I wouldn't like to talk on what I've seen in that report now, or what is contained in that report, and what I should do about it, because I was preparing for this council meeting. There is a recommendation that I received yesterday from the tribunal, which I need to apply my mind on.
You are the appeals authority.
And then as soon as I'm done with that, I will report to council.
Thank you. Does that help you, Councillor Swart? It's just a progress report on how far this is not dealt with yet. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all we needed to know. Councillor Mbali.
Thanks, Speaker. I think Councillor Swart was just raising concerns on the delay as well. In fact, both the cases that he referred to, it was just the concerns that he raised. I think we should note those. And then we'll go with the recommendations.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Mbali, proposal for going with the recommendations. Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I also want to raise a few things that I actually also saw. One of those are on page 42, the request for quotes RFQ, that list. I noticed that we actually, there's a 195,000 that was actually, let me just go to that page. That was spent for, I just want to get the correct words, drafting. Just bear with me. It's on page 42, yes, right on top. The development of an implementation plan and budget to implement the History Festival in February 2021. So 195. And that comes from the department of Mr. Leslie Jacobs. My question is, Speaker, I don't understand how, can we maybe just explain how did we end up spending money for someone to develop a plan and a budget, but we do have officials in that department. As far as I'm concerned, they're supposed to be capable enough to actually do this. So that's just my comment, that I just find that a bit odd. And then on page 55, Speaker, you know, the thing about reports is it's just reporting, so there's nothing you can do about it. it has been done, but that's a serious issue, Speaker, that I've just raised now. And on page 55, on page 55, Speaker, there is there's something about, I think it's the number is number 15, preparation and implementation of Bitou Vision 2040. And it's something about a powerhouse strategies, and it's close to 3.2 million, if I round the figure off. That as this company has been awarded to prepare and to implement Bitou Vision 2040. Now, I don't know, budgets are always complicated, Speaker. So I don't know whether this was in the budget, maybe, and maybe we've missed it. Was there maybe an item at council that is to serve at some stage about Vision 2040? And we maybe have missed it, but...
Just give me 1 second, Councillor Kamkam. Mr. Gireke can come in because all these items is dealing with his section, yeah. Sorry, I know the acting MM is also noting them, but it's good that he hears from the horse's mouth. Colored horses. Mr. Gireke, there's two items. The one deals with the budget implementation plan for 195,000 rand in your section. On page 42, that we need some answers on. And the 195,000 rand under Mr. Jacobs. The councillor's question was why, if there's officials in the department, in the budget implementation plan for a festival, we should not be going out to consultants. I mean, yeah, that's the question that the council is asking. If you can give attention to that and maybe report back to us on the next meeting to the MM. Which is the other page, Councillor? I forgot it now. Which one?
It is number 15, which is SCM stroke 2022. It looks like a 1 stroke 31 mm. And it says the preparation and implementation of Bitou Vision 2040. And I'm just going to read the trading as powerhouse strategies. And if I round the figure off, it gets to 3.2 million. My question was, has this been budgeted for? And my other question was, has this served maybe at council that maybe I've missed it? The Vision 2040? Has there been some decision on it? And also, has it been budgeted for? Because I just, in this time with cost containment and with the status that we are in, it's just for us to spend 3.2 million on someone to develop a strategy on a 2040 vision. So those were my questions. Can I move on, Speaker?
You're on the floor, Councillor. I will get the officials to respond.
Thank you. And then I know the regular expenditure report has been referred to MPEC, but normally with all the challenges, Speaker, I also wanted to know BMH attorneys. I see there was close to 1.4 million. I'm just going to read because I'm going to keep you if I go to the page. That was also in the regular expenditure list. I also couldn't understand what that was for, because from what my understanding, the panel of attorneys has been appointed. Is this something else? But obviously, if we look at this, we cannot tell what it's for. It's just that this is the tender and it's been awarded to this one and this is the amount. So there's no explanation what exactly it was for. Councillor Swart already raised the issue of the emergency units in Zuzu Yalo. Now I want to remind Council that the 3.9 million that was spent previously on actually the emergency units is still under investigation. And I want to remind Council that I find it very strange that this is actually here, because in my mind, we were told that the emergency units are being stored at the airport. Is there maybe an explanation as to why? And I look at that thing, it's broken down into, like Councillor Swart has said, it's broken down into 24 transactions. I don't know why. And obviously, like I say, what is the explanation? Because the emergency units are currently at the airport. Are there other units we don't know about that they are storing? Or what is the issue there? Those are the only issues I want to raise. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Kamkam. Can I maybe get a response from the officials before I go to the next councillor?
Mr. Speaker, from my side, on the Bitou Vision 2050, that is something that came as a result of, and the Mayor can help me here as well, it started in 2019 already, where the Premier suggested that the municipality should develop this vision for the municipality. So after that, we went through the process. There is money currently available on the budget for this project. Obviously, as we go along, we will have to make provision for that. But for the current financial year, there is money available on the budget. And if I remember correctly, it was at the previous mayoral committee where the service provider made a lengthy and a full introduction to the project to explain what is going to happen. The intention is to, during March, have a full workshop with the full council and the full management team, specifically to inform everybody and to get everybody on board with this project. I hope that answers the question.
Mr. Sampani, on the housing, very briefly, and then I'll give over to Councillor, Deputy Executive Mayor. On that one, okay. Let's deal with that then. Yeah. Let's deal with that.
Thank you,
Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker, for allowing officials to respond to these pertinent questions. Sometimes we receive things written down and we get lost. A follow-up question, Speaker. Has the money been paid already?
Mr. Gireke?
Sorry, I've missed the question.
The consultant that was appointed, has he been paid, or she, or it?
He's been paid for the first session, for the preparation. Can I just go one step back? Councillors, I think there was an item during January to just take note of this, so this was in front of the council. During the meeting in January, the council requested that we don't do this 3-year vision and only then start with the individual project plans, the business plans. We've asked the consultant to speed up some of the business plans. And at the moment, we're busy with a waste to energy and an agricultural plan. So the business plans are slowly getting there. And the consultant has been paid for the first month of the work that's been done to date.
Councillor Kamkam?
Speaker, you see, it's very difficult if we're going to hear now that a report will be submitted or wherever in March, and there will be a presentation for council in March, because this service provider has already now been appointed. Some of us might not have didn't have the privilege to actually give insight to them, this vision, and also the understanding. So I find it very unfair for other councillors. You know, if you are in an executive position and you serve on the executive council, you might have certain privileges, but we need to take into consideration that we are all councillors. And if we speak of a Bitou Vision 2040, I mean, that's the whole of Bitou. That's just my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kamkam. Is it on the same point, Councillor Councillor Mbali?
Yes, it's the same point on the question raised by Councillor Kamkam, Speaker. Firstly, Speaker, on this Vision 2020, councillors will recall on the agendas of council on the delegations to the executive mayor. That was reported to council. It was part of the council agenda. It is there. I know Councillor Swart as a person who attends the mayoral committee meetings. I think he was there when the presentation was done. And then one of the resolution was that it will then be workshopped with all the councillors. So we're still waiting for that workshop would involve everybody, because we indicated that it is quite a very broad insight on that. It needs everybody, including the decision we took that we must fast track the other projects, because he indicated that there are certain things that are already moving in terms of the national infrastructure rollout plan, which we must not miss as a municipality. So I just thought I must indicate that yes, it was reported in council. I think she also raised on page 42, Speaker, the issue of appointing a service provider to do, history festival. I'm definitely sure we do not have historians in the municipality. No, please. Planning, I'm sure officials do not have the capacity of being historians. Therefore, developing a plan, it involves quite a process. And therefore, I did not see that, developing a historic festival, you need insight of what the town is about. And therefore, our officials will not have that particular capacity. And it's budgeted in terms of the events that the municipality must undertake. And it was, presented in council, I think in December. What were those events that the municipality will undertake, and the council approved some of the events. If you go back to your reports, you'll find that those events are part of that. In regard to the lawyers, Speaker, I think we should also note that the appointment of the lawyers was done in December, the panel. And this particular issue is the work that was already done by the company. I think the invoice talking about here was for September. So I think we shouldn't put the two. And I think in just after July, when we were reporting on irregular expenditure and all of that, where we picked up that the contracts that was being used was contracts that were already expired. So hence we had that particular irregular expenditure on the law firms, in fact, on all of them. So the appointment of the law firms was only done in December, but this payment was only for September payment. I thought maybe I must raise that, Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Or maybe the acting CFO might speak on this better than I, as he is an administrator, but at least I go through some of the things with him.
Thank you very much. There is Mr. Maredi. I was wondering. Can I get back to your question to Mr. Sampani regarding
Speaker,
emergency housing units?
Speaker, if I hear the question right, I think what the councillor is asking, is there any other material somewhere else apart from the one at the airport? Yes, there is other material. The material at the airport are the sides and the roof or the walls, which needs to be assembled. But the containers at the transfer station contain the windows, the doors, the door frames, any other material that included in the tanks. We store them at the Indian containers at the transfer station. Thanks, Chair.
Is that what the monthly amount is for?
Yes, on the rental of the containers.
Okay.
Sorry, Speaker, so we are renting the containers from, okay, Nzuzo, yeah.
All right. Yes, Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. Don't you think it's a bit ironic that we're paying a service provider to store items that we've already paid for on our own premises. Because that's what we're doing. The containers are standing at the waste transfer station on our premises, and we're paying 6,900 Rand a month for storage. I'm sure we could have used our own facilities to store it in.
Yes, Mr. Sompani?
Yes, Chair. Councillor is right. Now we have a company that is hiring leasing containers to the municipality, which was recently appointed. But from 2018, thus far, we didn't have that that project, but we had it now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Sompani. Can I get now a seconder to the proposal? Bearing in mind that there was questions that the officials will bring reports on to council for us. Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. I think these questions are very important.
Can you just mic us, please?
From councillors. But the direction needs to be given. One, on the issue of the Vision 2050. I think I explained that in the council, and there were items on that. Even some of during my communication, I highlighted the origin of this Vision 2050, where the Premier, when they were starting with his new ministers in 2018. So he said to me, we were discussing specifically the airport and the hospital and schools for Plate, but he specifically highlighted the potential of our airport for the region of Plate and Nice. And then he said, all these things, I must bring him our vision. We don't have a vision as a municipality. He would love himself to take our vision of Plate, and he will sell it himself abroad. And then he want to champion a situation whereby we will get flights direct from abroad to Plettenberg Bay, and maybe from Plettenberg Bay to Cape Town. So mine was to make sure that I deliver on what the Premier suggested, because I believe that he has got bigger plans for the town. The vision has not yet started, Speaker. Maybe we must, the process plan for councillors, because there's no vision that has started yet. Maybe you need to narrate the process plan up until such time that council can contribute into the vision. But as the officials, there are some work that we're doing. Part of this, I think, councillor, it's not just going to be the vision, but they must also make sure that they look for funding for that vision. If there are certain projects that have been identified, they must go to the national government, provincial government, even abroad, to source funding for some of these projects that we want to see. For example, Leslie came with developers for the airport and proposal. So we need that kind of people in order to implement some of these projects. So the vision has not yet even started, councillors. It has to be advertised to the community, for the community to comment, but I don't know what is the process plan to realize that vision. But I hope we will be able as council to present this vision as soon as possible to the Premier whilst he's still in office. With regard to the issue of the material at the airport, it's a worrying thing. It's a worrying thing, and it's been very long, and councillors pronounce themselves on that. The officials must just do their work. Even now, I've requested that, because when I asked them, they said there is no budget for putting this material into the wards where councillors pronounce themselves, because there's a certain number that what councillor of New Horizon highlighted, Ward 1, Ward 2, councillors pronounce on that. But now they must take the material and build those structures there. They said there's no money for that. we need to avail funds for that. And then I made a proposal that they must also submit it in the adjustment budget, look for funding and put it in the adjustment budget for those structures to be assembled where they are needed by councillors. I think that's one of the issues. What was the other question?
I think that was it.
I think the answer.
You answered them, Mr. Mayor. My concern is just, councillors, that and it's only around, I agree with you on the material at the airport. That's going to be dealt with next week when we have all the parties around the table. And then the facts and the truth will come out. My only concern is around this Vision 2030. We have a Vision 2050. We have a Vision 2030 that, as far as I'm concerned, nothing has happened about. And now we have a Vision 2050 that we're already spending money on, that council haven't even said must go ahead. It's a different story putting item in front of council for noting and not for deliberation. I know deliberations happen in Mako, Mr. Mayor. But then when it comes from the mayoral committee, it should not be for information or decision already taken. It's the council's vision. The council is the custodians of this town. We have appointed the mayor to implement the decisions of council and gave the mayor certain delegated authority. But it is important. I don't want to be asked about the Vision 2050 and I can't give answers to it. Like when I was asked, I had to ask the mayor, the MM, and that's where I got my information from, around the Vision 2050 from the municipal manager. It's just, I'm just saying it, I'm just putting it out there. Mr. Mayor, there's no need to answer it. I know we are in baby steps as far as that is concerned. You've explained to us. But it's important that we keep all councillors on board, like you did when we had the Vision 2030. We came together as a council and we deliberated and discussed it and down at the dunes, and we have a plan approved, flowing from that. So that plan must be, the airport is on there, everything is on there, as far as I know. Councillor Bali, I'm not going to allow any more discussion on this one.
No, on the point of clarity, because we can't leave this hanging. The Vision 2030 is the NDP.
Councillor Mbali, NDP is national government's vision.
No, it's the
Yes, I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm not going to allow you to. I'm not entertaining any discussion on this, and that's my ruling.
No, you see,
national government's vision is the NDP.
Yes.
And we've deliberated on that.
Yes, but that's not localized.
We had a meeting on it.
No.
We had a discussion on, we've workshopped it at June's, and we came up with a plan.
No, Speaker.
How can that not be a vision?
No, it's a national plan which must be localized to a municipality's vision.
Okay, all right. The mayor is in baby steps in it. He will bring it to us when it's time for us to see it. But I'm just saying, there's no point we spending on it and as if it's finalized. I want the acting MM to take note of that. Thank you very much. If we can move to the next item. A seconder. Can I get a seconder? There was a proposal by Councillor Mbali. Is there a seconder? A seconder by Councillor Machila. Okay. Next item deals with let me just get to the portfolio of index again. Next item is under section 2 again. Second item there. It's item C/2/215/02/21. The status of the municipality's financial position for the quarter ending 31st of December 2020. Item you will find on page 78 to 104. Item is serving. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. Just some clarity, and I don't know if I may be reading it wrong. On page 79, right at the bottom, we've got a total income by source. And then we've got an amount under 31 to 60 days, 61 to 90, 91 to 120, and a total column. But if you add it horizontally, it doesn't add up to the total. It's right at the bottom of page 79.
Mr. Maredi?
Morning, Speaker.
Yes, Mr. Maredi.
I just want to.
Are you there?
I'm here, Speaker. Just give me 2 seconds, please.
Yes.
Speaker.
Should be here.
Speaker.
Yes, Mr. Maredi.
Okay. I see that on our side as well. We just have to check on the C schedules. There could be probably not one of the parameters not pulling through to the totals, but we're looking into that, and then we'll try to.
Mr. Maredi, we can hardly hear you.
Can you hear me now, Speaker?
No, you.
Speaker.
Yeah, you're very soft. You're very soft.
And I'm screaming here. Am I audible now, Speaker?
All right, you can talk.
I say we'll have to double check on our schedules from our Section 71 report. Probably there's something that did not pull through on those totals. Apologies on that one, but we'll have to double check on our C schedules.
Yeah, Mr. Maredi, next time, can you be in the council chambers as the CFO, if there will be a next time? I think the new CFO starts on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Noted, Speaker.
Yes.
I note the directive of the Speaker for me to be in the council chambers next time, Speaker.
Yes, that's just for noting. Did you get your answer? There is no answer. Mr. Maredi, can we make sure that at the next meeting, at our next sitting, we get a clarity on the question raised by Councillor Swart, please? Amen. Thanks, Acting MM.
Okay, thanks, Speaker. I'll do that.
It's okay, thank you. The Acting MM took note of it. Councillor Swart, I'm sorry that we can't give you an answer on that. Is there a seconder to the, there's no, can I get a proposal? Thank you, Councillor Bali.
Consent.
Is there a seconder?
Seconded, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Saisi. Our next item carries, was that directive that there must be a report back on the issue raised by Councillor Swart. Next item is item C, stroke 2, stroke 216, stroke 02, stroke 21. And it deals with the list of withdrawals from the municipal bank account for the quarter ended 31st of December 2020. You will find the report on page 105 to 110. Item 7. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. I don't know if I'm just reading it wrongly, but in section H on page 109, for cash management and investment purposes in accordance with section 13, an amount of 45 million. Is that also a withdrawal, or is that money that's in the account?
Councillor, Mr. Maredi, did you get the question?
Those were the investments that were withdrawn, Speaker. And when the investment has lapsed, it was withdrawn out of the investment account, but is still inside probably inside the primary account.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Swart?
I didn't quite get that.
Yes, you can.
He's saying we invest, and that investment, there's a time, then we take the money, and it goes to our account.
Okay, so we've withdrawn that from the account.
Yes, yes.
And
out of the investment account into the current account.
And where have we used it? Because it's a lot of money.
No, it's our money.
Yeah, I know it's our money, but it's an investment.
You invest money.
Yeah.
When there is time for you to get that money, it comes to you.
So then I draw it, and then I spend it on something. So what have we spent it on then?
We're talking about
Spending it. So we've drawn 45 million from our investment.
Okay.
And what are we doing with that 45 million?
Your question is, okay, Councillor, Deputy Executive Mayor. Councillor, Mr. Maredi, has the money been spent and what on?
Some could have been spent, Speaker, on operational and both on capital projects, because remember, Speaker, for every investment that we make, we need to open a separate investment account. Now, when that investment lapses, we automatically withdraw that investment into the primary account. So you might find that it is investment that was put there for particular projects also. So if it lapses, it goes into the primary account and it's being utilized for projects and that.
Thank you. That's why you invest, is to make money and then spend it. And I'm sure there will be more investments. Councillor Bali?
No, thanks, Speaker. No, I think the primary question is answered, whether it was a withdrawal or what. I think that's what Councillor Swart wanted, because we will not have received, the spending part of it in all of this. But yeah, thanks, Speaker. We go with the recommendations. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that proposal. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Kabai, Deputy Executive Mayor. Then our next item on the agenda deals with, that's much better. Deals with next item is item C/2/217/02/21, Development Report for the quarter ending 31st of December 2020, and you will find the report on page 111 up to page 115. The report is serving. Yes, Councillor Bali.
No, thanks, Speaker. We will go to recommendation by the Executive Mayor.
Thank you. There's a proposal that we go with the recommendation by the Executive Mayor from Councillor Bali. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Deputy Executive Mayor. Item carried. Next item is item C/2/218/02/21. Special Adjustment Budget is the item title for 2020-2021, and you will find the Special Adjustment Budget from pages 116 until page 231. Item is serving. Councillor Kamkam.
Speaker, I would like to ask a question which would sort of came into my mind with the previous item. Since we've now cashed in our 45 million investment, will that somehow feature in the adjustment budget? We've been told that it has now been, obviously, it's now in our operational budget, but in my mind, if you withdraw money and you put it in, it needs to reflect somewhere. So that is my question. I don't want to rehash the conversation, but to me that's very important at this stage to know how does it actually work.
Thank you. Councillor Deputy Executive Mayor.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, this special adjustment budget, I applaud it because really it deals with service delivery projects, poverty alleviation, because we understand that there is a COVID-19. The executive mayor put it very nicely that we must look at people who have lost jobs. So then, therefore, I want again to answer the question of Councillor Kamkam that the investment that we have done, then therefore they will be able to assist also as we are marching forward so that our people can get a service delivery. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Kabai, Deputy Executive Mayor. Yeah, we'll get to that, Councillor Kabai. I haven't forgot your question. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. You know, at the time that we started on the adjustment budget, I actually asked if it's possible that councillors could be involved somewhere in the process to give input, because that's always a concern is we get the reports, but we're never involved with any input or trying to give suggestions and things like that. And then I see things like we're getting grants for libraries that's just been spent on security. Now, security is a vague thing. We know we spent a lot of money on fencing and things like that. Is this more fencing or is it other security issues? Then we're also asking for approval on 3.5 million for security because of the riots we had last year. But we need to also bear in mind that sometimes these expenses come up because people are negligent in what they tell people. Because those last riots that we had was purely because the municipality gave wrong information to the communities in a public meeting. And that's what sparked that. And now we're spending 3.5 million because of something that was initiated because of wrong information. And that concerns me when we're spending money on things that could have been avoided. And then we've also got, I think it was 3.1 million in mayoral intervention proposal. I don't know what that is and what it entails. But I can't even get answers as to what mayoral grants were given just because people are asking the questions. And now I'm asked to support 3.1 million in a discretionary fund that I've got no idea where it's going to be spent and no input's been given to it. And then again, in the same adjustment budget, we now see that the demolition that's been on the cards for 3 years for the property of F156 is not going to happen because that budget's been taken away. So while I understand what the mayor says and what Councillor Gabai says about funds need to be made available for people that are struggling at the moment because of COVID and job losses, there's still too many grey areas in there that we've had no input on. It just gets presented to us and we don't know where it's going to be spent. So I'm actually going to record my vote against the adjustment budget for those reasons. There's too many unanswered questions in there for me. While I support some of the items, there's some that I can't support.
Thank you, Councillor Swart. There's just one, I respect you recording your vote against it, but there's just one statement that you made that I cannot leave unchallenged. You indicated that wrong information was given in a public meeting to the community, and therefore we have to spend the amount of money you've indicated. I would like to know if you were at that public meeting where the wrong information was given. Was there a report presented to council that says so-and-so gave wrong information from this municipality?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because that's exactly my point. It's not correct then to say the municipality is responsible if there was no investigation done and a report given to us. And if it is the case, I would really suggest that you speak to the mayor, give him the information that you were given so that he can then report back to us.
Point taken, Chair.
Thank you very much. I think Councillor Bali, unless he wants to give you the opportunity, Mr. Mayor, and then the Deputy Executive Mayor. Can I give to him? Okay.
No, thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I think one of the important features of the adjustment budget needs to be understood in its context. That we ought, when we do adjustment budget, we look at the performance of the budget that we passed. Whether there are any additional funds that needs to be put into the budget, whether the budget needs to be adjusted upwards or downwards based on its performance, and how we see whether even the collection which we looked at, whether it's performing at a level in which we approved last year in May. So those are the conditions of the adjustment budget. And look as well as the projects that are going to be able to be done by 30th of June. I'll give you typical examples that, there are electrification projects which were supposed to be done, but because those electrification projects are dependent on other projects, therefore, while we have budgeted for them, they will not be able to be done by 30th of June. Therefore, that adjustment ought to be done in the adjustment budget. So what we are in fact saying, if I'm listening, is that we will not be approving this budget because we believe that these things can still be done, even though information and which in any case goes to portfolio committees where councillors are involved. And the adjustment budget has been presented to councillors, and this is that platform where councillors must present what they believe in terms of the adjustment budget, that this particular project must go there, or this we must adjust in this particular form, whether we agree that the budget should not be adjusted downwards or shouldn't be adjusted upwards, whether the grants we receive must not be added into the budget. So that's the context in which the adjustment budget functions. So, and I think going to details in each and every vote, I think we'll spend the whole day, Speaker, as to what is actually happening based both at the operational budget level as well as the capital budget level. So we are saying if we disregard that there's money, the MIG, that must be rolled over. And we say we're not supporting those projects that must go to communities because we don't support this adjustment budget. So I thought perhaps I must raise that, Speaker. However, I think I'm happy as an MMC that all departments were consulted to see where do we adjust to make sure that our budget is in line with the adjustment budget regulations. So who are here now is presented to us as councillors. It is us as councillors as an authority to say, but you have removed a particular project that we believe could have still been done, and that project must go back to where it's supposed to be. This is that platform, Speaker. Otherwise, Speaker, I think I go with the recommendation by the Executive Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Bali. Deputy Executive Mayor.
Thanks, Speaker. Thanks, Councillor Mbali, for educating us. I thought we were supposed to understand what is really adjustment budget. But I found that really we're still learning. Speaker, I have a problem about the statement that was said by the councillor. Because if we can talk a lot about that statement, we also played the role in going out to communities in the wee hours of the morning, giving them wrong information. You see? Now you can't blame it to anybody. The sole mandate of the executive mayor was to protect the town. Then therefore we cannot just throw stones in a glass house, whereas we are still sitting in that house. So we must really, Speaker, be people who really tell communities that we are government. Whether you are in an opposition bench, you are government. You take mandate from these council chambers and go and report truthfully to the people. You can't come here and act as if you are not part of this council. So I condemn that, Speaker. Thank you very much again, Councillor Mbali, for educating us about how really adjustment budgets work. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. I think the questions we are discussing the adjustment budget. The process of the adjustment budget is not finalized. We're discussing it now. This is just a proposal from my side. After we got advice from Councillor Mbali has highlighted all the things. But Speaker, I just want to talk on this mayoral intervention and mayoral granting aid. Last year, the council took the mayoral intervention fund and they gave a COVID-19 grant of 1.5 million. So that intervention fund was spent by the council resolved on it, that it must buy groceries. We transferred it to an NGO which was buying those groceries, and there were additions and all of that. So the intervention fund, it's such at times there are risks that we don't know, that we need to attend to. And those risks might be higher this time because nobody knows what's going to happen because of COVID-19. With regard to granting aid, I think I can ask the CFO to print a list of all those NGOs who benefited from granting aid and submit them to council. It's out there, it's in the system. We can bring that report. But also, Speaker, on the issue of the misinformation, I don't want it that we should say it's the municipality who actually communicated. Yes, we do. Most of the time, our officials do talk in various languages. But if you look at the origin of what happened in Kolweni last year, it was the new minister when he came in. He changed what we've communicated that was communicated by Minister Matikizela before him, something that we communicated to the community. When he came in as a human settlement minister, he changed those plans. Because of those changes that he came up with, as a municipality, we were liars. What made things worse was him going in on weekends. He will go to a ward in each community and call community leaders and narrate those plans that he has got for the Bitou without presenting the very same plans to this municipality. So if we talk about misinformation, I will take it back to that origin. It's been politicized, it's been politics. I even warned the council about that this town will burn as long as people are just playing politics. And the Ratepayers Association, I highlighted it here, messages that they've been spreading unfounded kind of information and allegations. They spread it through the media. So it cannot just be this municipality alone. But I think, Speaker, on the issue of the 45 million, that maybe what councillors want to know, where is it spent exactly? They want to see this. We took this 45, rather than to say it was part of the monies that were discussed during the adjustment budget, because when it goes into this bank account, then it's treated like our fund. It's very difficult now to say we want to count separately for the 45, but the municipality has got a funded budget, and most of its project, it has got its own funding for some of its projects. It's not funding that depends on grant. We pay out of our own to implement such projects. I think also, Speaker, Councillor Swart is right. Maybe the time is not enough for you councillors to change and all of that. Maybe in future, what must happen before, when the adjustment budget, Councillor Swart must make a proposal that, Mayor, will you please consider this during the adjustment budget? Maybe another word, Councillor, Mayor, can you please consider this, so that I discuss those with the officials. Is it doable? Because sometimes people just come with new projects, which I'm told that you can't bring new projects. So it's better if councillors can in future propose to what they want to see in the adjustment, even in the budget. I think it might help us to be on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as Councillor Mbali was saying, the adjustment budget process is not the budget process. You don't go through the same intensive consultation processes that you do with the community when you deal with the adjustment budget. Councillor Swart?
Thanks, Speaker. I don't want to belabor the point, but just to mention on that 45 million, we obviously needed to draw from our investment because we were short on something that we were going to do. And people, members of the public, read these reports and they ask the questions. So if someone comes to me and says, I see in addition to the others, there's 45 million, where's it gone? If I know we needed it in addition to what we had for X, ABC, then I can say to them. But at the moment we can't. And that's where part of the issues come in.
Thank you. Councillor Ndai?
Speaker, Councillor Dave just covered for my question what I was going to raise, but also I hear what the councillors that are in control are hearing. They're trying to explain, but I still want to make sure that I do vote against the special adjustment, Speaker.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Ndai. Councillor Kamkam?
Thank you, Speaker. The sentiments of the mayor is really appreciated, Speaker, because yes, it is adjustment, and we do understand that the adjustment process is totally different from the budget process. However, Speaker, that the adjustment budget is more than the movements on the capital budget. Let's just understand that. If I as a councillor sit now and I look at this adjustment budget, it's very easy for me to look at the capital budget and to analyze exactly what projects need to be stopped for what reasons and what monies need to be invested in other projects. That's the easy part. The difficult part is understanding the operational part of it. And monies are being moved in the operational budget, and us councils, we've got no clue. If there's major movements, we need to be informed, because that is money that are being moved. And the fact is, a budget always needs to balance. So you cannot tell me you withdraw somewhere and you didn't put it in somewhere else. It doesn't work like that. That is a major concern to me at this moment. And the thing, Mr. Mayor, is I do understand about the mayoral intervention program.
Mr. Speaker.
And sorry, Mr. Speaker, because Mr. Speaker, the mayor mentioned the mayor mentioned about the mayoral intervention program, and at the time of COVID, where the 1 million was taken actually to support families in need. However, we also note when we did the adjustment, if I remember correctly, on the COVID money, that COVID budget, that money was reflected in there. But the point is, Mr. Mayor, 3.1 million, Mr. Speaker, 3.1 million on an increase. I mean, and we don't see a plan. That is just not, yeah. So, Speaker, I am also going to vote. And another point is this didn't serve in the Finance Committee. So I unfortunately, you know, there's a lot of things I don't understand. I'm going to record my vote against this budget.
Thank you very much. Councillor Olivier, I presume you will do the same.
Well, fortunately, my colleagues have spoken about it, but also just to say that it's a very unclear budget, adjustment budget for me, Speaker. So I record my vote against it, and I would like to leave the room for a minute, please.
You're
Thank
welcome
you.
to.
Speaker.
I got your message, Councillor Van Vogel. You would like to record your vote against it as well. Councillor Mbali.
Yes. No, Speaker, thank you very much, Speaker. I think we must appreciate the DA councillors. In fact, I think, Speaker, what you must appreciate going forward is that this is a year of disagreements. And therefore, those disagreements will now be consistent because we are in an election year, and we must respect that the opposition has taken a strategy to oppose almost everything that we do, whether it's right or wrong. They will continue to do that. It's just the politics of the day, and we must accept that. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've not had any proposals or seconder. You propose, is that a seconder? I'm going to give you last to speak. Is that a seconder? Thank you. Deputy Executive Mayor, sometimes you guys talk and then you think you propose a second and then you don't. And for the record, Councillors Swart, Ndai, Olivier, Kamkam, and Van Vogel recorded their votes against the adjustment budget, the approval of the adjustment budget. Mr. Mayor, last on this item.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I understand the people that, councillors that voted against, but I did not get the gist of the objection. As exactly what is it and where that money should go in their thinking. For example, Councillor Swart mentioned the issue of the demolition, the budget that has been taken. For officials to demolish or to spend that money, there are certain administrative processes that needs to be done. But if one department notice that they won't be able to spend that money within that time, they will say, we don't see a way where we can spend this money. Therefore, this money must be dispatched somewhere. But maybe the question is, also the councillors mentioned the issue of information, they lack information. Maybe that is why they are objecting to the budget. I do not know how that should be answered when councillors feel that they are not informed. I was hoping that, I've seen that over the years, since I was in this municipality, the adjustment budget has been handled in this manner. Now, it's quite shocking now when I'm presenting it and councillors are raising all this and lack of knowledge and all of that, which has been coming for years in this way. But I've noted the concerns of the councillors as well. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If we can then move on to the next item on our agenda. This item was duly proposed and seconded. The next item on our agenda is under Section 3, Corporate Services. Item number C/3/205/02/21. And it's a report on the outstanding feedback or partially implemented resolutions of the Mayoral Committee and Council resolutions under confirmed minutes. You'll find the report on page 233 until page 263. And I'm expecting Councillor Swart's hand up.
Speaker?
Because he's always talking on items that are not implemented. Councillor Mbali?
No, thank you, Speaker. I think, Speaker, going forward, we must get this report from your office to really make sure that these things are done.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I see it's combined at the moment.
Yeah.
There should be one for
We go
Mayoral
with the
Committee.
recommendations.
There should be one for the Mayoral Committee and there should be one for Council resolutions. I agree. Acting MM has taken note of that. Thank you very much. Is there a seconder?
Seconded, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Saisi. Next item is item C stroke 3 stroke 206 stroke 02 stroke 21. Just repeat that again. Item C stroke 3 stroke 06 stroke 02 stroke 21. Quarterly report on human resource management for the period 1st of October 2020 until December 2020. You will find the report on page 264 up to page 278. Item is serving. Councillor Kabai, Deputy Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. I go with the recommendation that to me.
There's a proposal that we go with the recommendations. There's a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Machila. Item carries. Next item is item C stroke 3 stroke 207 stroke 02 stroke 21. And it's the employment equity profile as per directorate. You will find the report on page 279 until 283. Item is serving. Deputy Executive Mayor.
Can you speak? I go with the recommendation.
There's a proposal that we go with recommendations from the Executive Mayor by Councillor Kabai and seconded by Councillor Machila. Item carried. Next item is item C stroke 3 stroke 208 stroke 02 stroke 21. Customer care section report for January 2021. And you will find the report on page 284 to 352. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd just like to note we, in the previous minutes, approved the suggestion that we get a summary of the type of complaints in the customer care report, which isn't happening in the report. So just to remind the customer care manager that with these reports. So for instance, if there's 20 complaints about broken water pipes 20, because ideally we need to start using the report in a proactive manner to try and minimize the same sort of things happening. And that's where I think we need to be going with this and what I'm trying to get to in this report. So I will propose a report.
Thank you very much. I know the acting MM is busy refining the report. I'm sure the next one will have that in. Thank you, Councillor Swart. Is there a proposer and a seconder? You proposed, Councillor
Seconded.
Kabai, second. Thank you very much. Next item is under section 4, community services, which have no items. Under section 5, engineering services, was one item. Item number C stroke 5 stroke 134 stroke 02 stroke 21. The capital project implementation plan. We get a progress report on that, and the progress report is for the quarter ending December 2020. You will find the report on page 254 until 364. Item is serving. Councillor Bali.
Thanks, Speaker. Speaker, I just did councillors to take note of the December report, and might have been a progress thereafter. One of the concerns that we raise in particular, that is internal, Speaker, that make us not to progress, is the gray areas in terms of departments. One look at the project of Kolwini Cultural Village. A simplest thing of an MOU as to whom will take over the payment of the Karachi Village when it's happening. That's a delay. It's unacceptable, Speaker. We delay internally the project that's supposed to take place. I thought I must just re-emphasize, we spoke about it in MACO, we spoke about it in the portfolio committee, but we go with the recommendations by the executive. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mbale. I'm sure the acting MM has taken note of that, and the director are responsible as well. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Machila. Item has been carried. Next item is under section 6, economic development and planning. And item number C/6/130/02/21. And the item heading, proposed housing development on Earth 4367, Platinum Bay, also known as the Ultra City, Shell Ultra City Development, middle income development. I see Councillor Swart is very excited in supporting this project. You will find the report on page 366 to 367. Councillor Swart?
I do want to say something on the speaker. What I was actually wanting to say is I've just noticed an error in the page numbering because I had a note to make a comment on the last item. And when I went to the page number according to the index, it's at 254 to 364, and I think it should be 354. And that's why I couldn't find my page at the time. So the previous item, the page numbers are wrong. It should be 354 to 364, not 254.
Thank you very much, Councillor Swart.
But I can address what I wanted to on that item in the addendum that you've got, so that's not a problem. But on this item that we're dealing with, I'm pleased to see that they're including an option on rental housing in looking at that project, because the social housing that they're talking about, they're talking about rental properties. And as the mayor allowed me to say in the MACO meeting, we've got a definite shortage of rental properties in this town.
That's true. Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Swart. In my previous councils, Mr. Mayor, we used to have a councillor that if there was a word wrong, he would say it, and he would insist that it be fixed. I've never been in a council where I don't have a councillor like that, and thank you, Councillor Swart, for making sure that the documents that go out is correct. Yeah.
It's just that I couldn't find the page. So I made a note of the page number, and then when I looked here,
it wasn't there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I think there might be a lot of developments in our town. If you look at the plans and the resolution taken by council over the years, and the plans maybe from the provincial government as well. And if you look at the adjustment budget, the issue of the collection rate has dropped. COVID-19 has struck our people severely. So we might not be able to collect enough. So for us to encourage middle income housing, it's going to help us in terms of revenue collection. So to speed this up whilst other people will be increasing our indigent register, at least there should be a group that will be able to pay for services. We need to encourage that. The reason why I'm saying this, you might have a background, Speaker, of this land. There is a land next to the old Formosa Hotel. It's a Ferdinand Street. And I know there were plans that land must also be developed for rental or lease. I just want to check on that, Speaker. Maybe you do have knowledge. But I think that land as well can be simultaneously developed for middle income or rental as well, rather than to be like that. Because I heard some people saying that such pieces of land, people must go and erect shacks there. So if we don't plan this land in advance, in the next few years, you must be aware that people will take land by force. So we need to start planning, not to just have open spaces where people can say, let's go there and erect shacks. I'm worried that that land people might erect shacks or do something else in that land if we don't do something quickly. Speaker, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Gireke, and then I'll come to you, DM.
Speaker.
Yes.
I thought the mayor
you've got that.
I thought the mayor forgot that they will even go to the rugby field to erect shacks there if we are not doing something about that land. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gireke. Before him or after him? Yeah, he's got information that I would like on the table.
I can finish and then you can conclude. I see now officials have a final word. No, Speaker. Speaker, I think what the mayor just raised is covered by Resolution 8. But what I wanted to raise, Speaker, is the fact that the process of procurement, which is for call for proposal, which we've recommended, maybe the acting MM, they need to consider this rather than us duplicating processes. They should look at how far is the conclusion of the issue of the transactional advisors, which ought to have assisted this process. If that is concluded, that's when we need to make sure that this matter is speed up, because we are very concerned that it's very slow. If not, then the other process also needs to kick-start very soon. We were saying they can go and advertise for 7 days and so on, as to make sure that we have an idea who are the developers and what needs to be done going forward, Speaker. And not forgetting that we must speak to other spheres of government. So I think the issue that Mayor is concerned about is really covered by point number 8. I think Councillor Swart deposited and say we must not only look into Shell Garage, we must look in all other sites that we have available, including Deputy Mayor, your rugby field, and other lands that we have as a municipality. Because this will become one, but another source of revenue for the municipality, beyond the issue of development and making sure that people have spaces to settle in. Thank you very much, Speaker. I go with the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Mbali. Mr. Gireke.
Mr. Speaker, maybe I should just say 3 things. The one is, in future, we will give more regular progress reports on these developments to the Portfolio Committee. I think that's been a bit of a missing link in the past, but we will do that in future. The transaction advisor tender served before the BEC yesterday. It was referred back because there were slight glitches with some of the submissions, but it's going back to BEC next Tuesday and hopefully to BAC next Friday. So then that part will be finalized. On the Ferdinand Street Flisp housing, the tribunal is sitting on that matter on the 11th of March. There was, and unfortunately still is, a major issue, Mr. Mayor, with the intersection of that street with the N2. It's a very, very dangerous intersection. And the only concern with that development is we're adding additional traffic onto that intersection. So we now have received an additional traffic impact assessment to assess that intersection specifically, and that is the matter that will go back to the tribunal on the 11th of March. So that's where we are with those projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Not forgetting that there's a possibility of getting access through the industrial area as well. We mustn't forget that. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to agree with what Mr. Gericke said there. That is that intersection. Really, if you come out there, the only safe way to turn is to turn to the left, and then it's still risky for the traffic coming on from your right. So if there is an option for an alternate entrance, I think that needs to be looked at, because that is going to cause problems, and there will be accidents there. It is a very dangerous intersection.
Thank you very much. Can I get a proposer and a seconder?
Seconded, Mr. Speaker.
I didn't hear any proposals and seconders.
So, Speaker.
Yes, Mr.
Yes,
Mayor.
Speaker. I know the item is gone, but so it's not dangerous for Kwanuk Tula to come in and out.
Yes, no, it is very dangerous for Konakutula to come in and out. Mr. Mayor? That's why we give Konakutula now 2 accesses and entrances. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Just below
Mm-hmm.
that is a municipal.
Can
you use the very same route to process and cut across that transit area right into that development, if that is an issue? Because you won't come with a new road. There is a road already, but you just viable stuff and then you get into the development rather than to think of M2. M2 can be an alternative. But again, it's very problematic when it comes to the development of, for the majority of the people. There are some serious and useless excuses. To me, that is not really fair. Because currently you've got a village that is an old age village this side, where people are visiting their fathers and all of that, where people are working, and there is also a development on that side of the road. You see that because now it's going to be a middle income, there will be too many people. It's right now because there's old age village and there's serious development. And now when you want to bring those that are, so I don't know how you mentioned it, you can come with, why should it be an issue now? You can still use the very same route that they're using now. It has never been an issue. We will never do any development here if we come with these unnecessary excuses. Let's look at the alternative, and then we build houses for our people.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's well said. I need for the record, I've been told somebody proposed a second. Administration?
Councillor Mbari proposed and Councillor C seconded.
Thank you very much. I need to get that clear.
Speaker?
Yes,
You see,
DM.
there's one thing that we are doing. We are also involved in the discussions and then we end up forgetting.
Yeah. You must say shame, yeah, shame. You will understand. You understand. You should also understand. You shouldn't fight with me. It's not a nice position. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, councillors. We go to that concludes item 9 on our agenda. Yeah, oh, is it an open? No, okay. Let me read it there on the board. There is an addendum to the agenda, and it is the proposed amendment to the SDBIP, and the item title is C/1/02/02/21. Can we get where the pages where we find it? If it's possible, if it's not there. It's an addendum to the first item.
Pages 2 to 6.
Yeah, 2 to 7. Item is serving.
Okay.
Yes, Councillor Bali.
So everybody is fine. No, Speaker. I think, Speaker, now all what we expect is delivery and the achievement and the performance, therefore, of the SDBIP. We've made space for officials to look at what is deliverable, and they have reviewed that. All we expect now is the delivery of that and the performance. Thank you very much, Speaker. I go with the recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Mbali. Councillor Swart, seconded.
Before I do that, Speaker, when this served at the previous council meeting, I asked questions regarding the numbers in L11 and L13, where we've got 11,000 households receiving water, and I think it's 12 or 13,000 with sewage. You can't, as far as I understand, have more sewage outlets than you've got water inlets. And we asked at that meeting that we get clarity on that, and the clarity still has not come through in this report.
There's an answer behind you, Councillor Swart. Mr. Gireke. Mr. Groenewald, sorry.
Thank you, Speaker. I did discuss it with the manager of water, and they are busy investigating it, and they will submit a separate report in this respect. But what one should also must take into consideration that you will have maybe one bulk water meter for, let's say, for a complex, and inside you will have 10 or 15 apartments. So you have one water, but they
all contribute.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But she promised to submit the report in this regard.
Thank you very much. Does that?
Speaker, I understand that, but then there would also, to my thinking, be one outlet, because you have one inlet coming into the complex. It gets split up into arterials and then back out through one outlet. Unless it's recorded separately because of each unit. No, but the complex would be built for the sewage, not each individual unit.
Yes, yes.
Water and sewage is for the complex, and electricity is for each individual unit.
Normally, that's the case, yes.
So I'm not too sure if...
But let's get the report, then it'll be all clear when we get the report, yeah. And then I'll get back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Speaker, I thought I should also utilize this opportunity just for interest sake for council to note. I did a site visit in Covey on Monday relating to sanitation and water. In there, we've still got households that make use of the long drop system. And we all know, I think it's about 29 households, and we all know that the issue of the land of Covey has always been a complicated one. But there are instances where in our municipality, I'm not sure, maybe in the Harkerville area you'll find that as well, where there are still households that make use of the long drop system. And then they've got this reservoir, the one that's on top, the, what you call that thing? I don't know the technical name for it. That maybe catches the water. Not each household might have a tap, but they, in some instances, even have a communal tap. So it'd be very interesting if we can do, analysis on these things, because I notice in the IDP sometimes they do sort of give a brief summary, but there's those instances as well in Bitou. Just not to make a topic out of it.
Thank you for complicating it, Councillor Kamkam. Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Kamkam is the only councillor that no figures. I want our official to speed up the housing delivery. Because Councillor N is certainly, Councillor Machina is certainly, Councillor Olifield has developed water pipes in the world, but for her side I don't see much. But this issue of COVID, there are people who are interested in agricultural activities in coming. And what type of development? I'm not sure whether COVID is a private land or it's a municipal land, because they're not advising. And if you want to bring development and investors there, do they have to meet with those private individuals or the municipality? Because I don't know whether we still got land or it's just private. It's something that I need clarity on, so that if there are suggestions, remember the the investment conference in the district, presentations down there. Some investors are looking at those presentations and get interested in some development projects. And coffee is one of them. But I don't know whether it's a municipal land or private. Can you advise me properly there on how to approach development?
Are we discussing this? Must I answer the mayor now? Can I give it? I'm not going to be long.
Yeah, you can give him an answer.
Mr. Mayor, the speaker also has a lot of background on this.
I think it's important that we...
He was a previous councillor of Ward 1. So the land claim thing of COVID has been coming for a very long time. But to cut a long story short, rural development always consult the community of Kobe without informing us as a municipality. We, in my term, I certainly never had the privilege to sit with the Department of Rural Development or there's a trust, CPA, that was formed in Kobe a while back. I was told that at some stage they had to be re-elected, and I understand that process was done. So there is a committee in Kobe that has been appointed by the community to actually make the decisions, to represent the community with rural development and other state entities. And from what I understand, there has been a successful claim that has been allocated recently to Kobe, and they are busy developing. They've got apparently a whole plan on how to develop Kobe. I cannot elaborate on that plan, but the issue of the sanitation and water came to me via an assessment that was done by the Department of Health, and hence me going out as the ward councillor to assist. But I think moving forward, if we want to engage with the community of Kobe, our first step would be to engage with the CPA. Is that the correct word, Speaker?
Yeah, CPA.
With the CPA. That is the first start.
Communal Property Association. The land and everything there belongs to them as a community. Handed over from the state, different departments in the state, Environmental Affairs, Public Works, Department of Housing, they all had land there. And the department that's supposed to implement the project is Rural Development. But I would suggest, Mr. Mayor, that you get in contact with Rural Development, because you should know what is happening there, and they should come and make a presentation to you so that you can assist that community on that.
Thanks, I think you dealt with the latter part, which concerns Councillor Kamkam, is that as a municipality we seem to be not aware. Yes. I remember the last time we went there, I think Mr. Mvimbi was the mayor when they started to the handover process at that time. But ever since then, I don't think we ever received any report as to what is happening and so on, until Councillor Kamkam really took me to confidence what's happening with her concerns. I think ours is to link with the department to say the status of that area. Because when they complain, they are going to complain to us about the services, not to the department per se, that which gave them the land. The other part, Speaker, which I needed to perhaps get a clarity, it might not be answered now. The now absent MM indicated to me that we now have a power of attorney for the ERF 612 in 52, in Kurland. Now the question, what does that mean? For us to be able to start with that portion that we said we can start doing as a municipality, so that we start having, like the mayor is saying, we start having a movement, and then that movement of trying to decant people, we can always start with that, and then we know what is happening in Quran. But it's a clarity that I seek as to what does that mean, that now that we have a power of attorney, which is something that has been outstanding for some time for that area. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mbali. Then, did I get? Yes, we get a proposer and a seconder on that item. That concludes the open part of our agenda. We going to the next item, which is item 10, urgent matters submitted by the municipal manager. We did not receive any. Item 11, consideration of notices of motions, none received. Item 12, consideration of notices of question, none received. Item 13, consideration of motion of exigencies, none received. Item 14 is where we are going in committee, and I would like to make use of this opportunity to close the open part of the sitting, and we are going to deal with confidential matters. I would like to call on the administration is to make sure that the open Skype recording and YouTube recording that's going on are now ending.